Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Cookout. Long time no see. We're back. We took a 1 week hiatus, but
What's
we're
up?
back and we're ready to talk. Joining us, we got the full panel. First Lady, Imani, what's going on?
What's good, fam? Happy to be back with y'all.
And we got JBM
What's up?
and Lou.
You're
What's going on, people? How y'all doing? How
Enjoying
y'all
Labor
feeling?
Day.
It's been
How's your
couple of weeks.
It is, man.
man. I ain't just take a week off from the show. I just took a week off from like the world, so I ain't really engaged with any news, any type of anything that wasn't media that I normally consume, and just took a step back, recollected my mental health.
That's what's up.
Splendid.
Yeah, I feel that, man. It's been quite a journey, quite a 2020. It seems like everything it just keeps piling on. We should keep getting news and things just keep happening. So it's definitely necessary. But other than that, how's everyone's Labor Day, excuse me.
I took vacation today, so it's been relaxing.
Oh, you ain't have the holiday?
You had to take a vacation day?
I did not have to take a vacation.
Oh, okay.
I had PTO.
I was about to say.
Anytime.
Yo, what is
That's
going
work
on?
Labor Day?
For
Unless
real.
you like work a job. Like I have a friend that is an engineer for the city of New York, and they got at work today. I guess if you got to keep the power on, you got to stay at work, huh?
Yeah, somebody working. It just sucks that it has to be those people. Yeah, Labor Day was also wash day for me, so.
Yeah, I went down. I same. I think I did my wash on Wednesday for my locks. For locks, we're talking about locks, not person.
Lock
We
maintenance.
do that daily. If y'all, what's going on in the chat? Everybody, say what's up. Let us know how y'all doing. How's your Labor Day going? Labor Day weekend.
Let us
But
know
yeah,
what
I did
your day was.
did my wash day. That was wonderful. And then I went down to Wilmington on Saturday. Ended up being Saturday. Had a small social distance birthday celebration for the Leos and the Virgos down in Seabreeze. That was awesome. Good to see everybody. All love, all love. And then came back this morning, get ready for this show.
My wash week was last week. It was a wash week because it's pure laziness. It took about a day to wash my hair. The day before that, to take the braids out. Then it took me about 4 days to style it because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I didn't feel like it.
That hair is a process, man. Hair is a process.
Yes, sir.
I also washed mine this weekend. Roots are looking a little dusty. I have to get that done soon.
Yeah,
Got
I
to.
retwist myself on them wash days, so that's what I said today was wash day because that's pretty much it.
How are
Yeah.
you handling your hair in COVID?
I've been self-maintenance most of the time anyway because there's not a lot of us out here.
Mm-hmm.
So retwist I've had to do. The hard part is like my sides are cut. And so there was a long gap before my barber reopened.
Yeah. I've been doing same self-maintenance for the most part, and then just looking at getting different trying different shampoos and conditioners. Like I had to switch for the summer because like my scalp gets really dry in the wintertime. And then in the summertime, like of course you're sweating more, so I gotta get switched to a different shampoo and conditioner for that. But it's been fun. I mean, I don't mind doing my hair. Like it's a process, but you only do like, I mean, it's really once a month.
Yeah, once a month is what I do. But like you can make wash day
retwist,
enjoyable.
Yeah,
if you treat it with relaxation. So like
it is, but it's very relaxing. It's very relaxing.
I will run myself a bath while I soak the locks before I wash my hair, and then be chilling in a bath. Then I'll be watching a movie or something while I'm retwisting and got the hand mirror near me, so I don't got to be in front of the bathroom mirror. And I run it specifically so I'm relaxing while I'm doing it, and it's not a chore. It just still takes a chunk of the day.
Got Heem in the chat. What's going on?
Welcome here.
Yeah.
What's up?
He got locked too.
Yeah, he got them little worms. got,
Little mini twist.
Got the little baby twist. He don't got that much hair. He just starting to grow his out. Already talking junk, saying he's gonna catch up to everybody. I'm like, man, come on now. Let's cut it out.
Nah.
Cut it out. I don't even fully believe he's committed.
Was that an easy commitment to make?
For me?
Or did y'all think about it for a long time before you did it?
For me, it was easy.
I initially told myself I was going to start locking up after I was like 30 and super established in my job. But my hair, so like I got some really tight 4C coils, and what I was doing at the time, I had the frohawk. And so certain days I would twist it, certain days I would untwist it. But I would always untwist before I got my hair cut, so the frohawk was at an even height. And one day my barber, I didn't have time to pick it out. My barber was like, yo, are you trying to lock up? And I was like, no. And he was like, because your hair texture, what you got right now, if you just like don't undo those, that should work. And I was like, oh crap, let me try that. Next thing you know, a couple months later, I had the little starter locks, and I was like, here we are.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much always had hair, but yeah, committing to locks. I think I tried locking one time in college, and I took them out, and then last summer I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm committed. I can do it. Yeah. And I did. So I'm a year and a month now. Going on.
I'm about a year and 4 months now.
Yeah, 13
year and
months.
A half, year and 4 months. I started growing my hair out 2 years ago and locked it up a year later.
Yeah, he was exaggerating.
Yeah, I'll be in November. Will be my 2 year.
Or
2 year or 3 year. One of the two. I don't know. I'm about shoulder length now.
I want to do it so bad, but there are like a million hairstyles I got to get out the way first.
Your hair does grow fast when you do it. I'm shocked at how fast my hair grew over the year.
After a certain point, I won't be able to put a wig over it. And what if I want to look like somebody else with it? So I definitely.
No, I understand, because I wear a lot of hats, and my increase in hat size was the hardest fashion adjustment to me. Like some I'll just rock at a tilt. Some hats I've gotten post locks are just extra larges now.
Mm.
Or you don't have like the snap just open in the back?
Nah, I'm talking like when I have a whole fedora. I mean, I have a whole fitted snapback thing that dates to when I was young and used to play baseball. And then I got like a lot of fedoras and bowlers and things of that nature, and those aren't adjustable.
Gotcha.
All right, well, it's time to get into this discussion here. So, as we all know, last week we lost an incredible soul, Chadwick Boseman, to a 4-year battle with colon cancer that he kept very private. It was definitely shocking news for me. Caught me way off guard. I was taking a nap, and I woke up and it was trending on Twitter, and I just half believed I was dreaming. Like I couldn't. It took a while for me to process that news or that I was watching on my screen. This is going to be an interesting conversation to have. But last week was a long week. I think we all had a lot of personal things going on. We tried to do an episode, and I think about 2 hours before we decided it was just there's too much going on. We wanted to make sure that we paid tribute to Chadwick in the right way, and that we were prepared to have this conversation for this episode. So we've postponed a week, and so now we're here. And we're going to talk about the legacy, life and legacy of Chadwick, what he meant, what his projects meant, and everything like that. So, guys, Imani, you want to start?
I mean, I found out through the Discord that he passed. I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember I stopped what I was doing and I had to turn on my TV, and it was on every channel. It was being tweeted by every account. It's what social media, from Instagram to Reddit to Twitter to Facebook, that's all people could talk about. And it was quite overwhelming. Um, a recent celebrity death that we compare it to Kobe is that, death happens every day. We're used to it as far as people dying when they're supposed to. It's normal when people are sick for them to pass, and because someone is sick and they're suffering is cool, but we didn't know that of him. So in our minds, he went from good one day to dead the next. And
Yeah.
regardless of what the cause was, it's no different than someone being taken from us instead of just passing up their own free will. So I was definitely shocked, taken back, and then to learn that he was suffering from cancer was just a whole other thing for me to deal with. My mom suffered from breast cancer. She was diagnosed in 2018, and for the whole year of 2018, I watched her, get diagnosed, to go through surgeries and then treatments. And chemo was so bad, she wasn't able to finish her treatment. And all I could think of was that almost killed her, right? I'm blessed that I still have her today. And Chadwick Boseman went through that for 4 whole years, continuing to work, gaining and losing for roles, and just showing us, what am I trying to say? Not acting like it wasn't happening, but not sharing it with us. He, in a way, had to pretend that everything was okay. And for me, that's just another level of like something I have to deal with, because it's bad enough that he passed. Now I know that he suffered for that long for something that I've seen someone close to me suffer with. That was not easy. And it's still not easy to think about that.
Yeah. The reason for passing, it's hard to deal with in and of itself. Had family members not survive colon cancer, but the timing was really weird too. It was a really weird news cycle week. When it was Kobe week, when you talk about Kobe,
Exactly.
it was the week of A24. Nike was dropping stuff like every day, like celebrate the life of Kobe Bryant. It was also a super weird news week. Brush that one to the side. That's what I had to take a break from. And then I think Chadwick Boseman and Kobe are sort of deaths that make you feel your own mortality different, because these aren't just healthy people. These are people who you view as at the top of the world in some way, like Kobe Bryant and what he meant to basketball and the general work ethic. Chadwick Boseman, also a wild, incredible work ethic. And prior to last week, I have always said, or at least for the last couple of years, said that Chadwick Boseman has already earned himself a lifetime achievement in acting for being Black history incarnate. Like, on your list of movies you've been in, you have been King T'Challa, of course. You have been James Brown. You have been Jackie Robinson. You have been Thurgood Marshall. Even if it wasn't a crappy movie like The Gods of Egypt or whatever it was, you still managed to be an Egyptian god too.
The only Black one in the film at that.
Right. And so it was like, that is
that's a topic within itself.
Yeah. It's just a cool lifetime's worth of role that I had admired to that point. And then Chadwick Boseman also practiced capoeira, and there was like one of my weird celebrity dreams of just catching Chadwick Boseman in a hoda and probably catching a smooth kick to the face, but like it'd be a kick from Chadwick Boseman, so I was cool with that. That one scratched off my list or put into this weird, maybe in another world. And yeah, that was also like the breaking point for the rough week for me, where I was like, yeah, I gotta unplug from the world for about 7-8 days. You won't see me on the bird. You will hardly see me in that Discord, and I will be back after I clear my head.
Got a couple people in chat. Kanar, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey.
Thomas, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Hi, R. Hi, Thomas.
Yeah. JBM?
Yeah, it just felt like another crushing blow, and it was a little unbearable. Like, I think I was streaming something when I found out, and I just immediately thought back to the picture that went viral when he was real thin. And I remember talking to my brother about it, like, I bet he's preparing for a role and he's gonna come out and do well in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find out he had cancer.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah. Oh my God. That
Can
was
I say, this is in a way very related, but also a little off topic. I am someone who is very sensitive to social media and body image, and I'm one who suffers in my own with my own body image on the regular. And so, for people to consistently just say whatever they want about people's bodies and just say, "Oh, it's just the internet," it's more than just the internet. And I hope people learn from this, whether they're talking about plus size bodies or bodies that are well underweight. It shouldn't matter what someone's body looks like. If you have an opinion, keep that to yourself. You never know what somebody is struggling with, and it's been a thing lately to where, well, if they post a picture, why can't I say it? They don't need to be on social media. Stop being sensitive. But you never know what someone is dealing with ever. And I remember when I saw the original post back then and people were calling him names, I was bothered by it then. Like, how could you just talk about somebody like that, even if he was preparing for a role? Why do you think that's acceptable? I was pissed about that when it happened earlier in the year, like to the point where I was cussing out strangers on Twitter. I don't know these people, but I'm in arguments with whole strangers because why do you think it's okay to comment on somebody's body in this fashion? It's not cool. Then for him to pass, knowing that he was probably that thin because he was sick, like I just I hope a lot of people learn some lessons on how they handle body and talking about people because that shit was not okay.
Yeah,
agree 100%.
It's super weird too, because if you think about what that video was, everybody's talking about the video and the look, and he posted that video to honor the life of Jackie Robinson, and you figure he was doing that to pay homage to somebody who was important in his life and his career, and you can't even do that without his own life being sort of picked apart. So I thought it was weird that he had to take it down, because I'm like, man, this man was spitting bars and he can't spit bars because
they said that he got off of social, like he let someone, like after that he just let someone else handle his social media, which is that makes it even worse. Like it makes it that much worse because it's completely unnecessary. Like you don't know, to Monty's point, you have no idea what people are going through, and it's like, instead of asking yourself, yo, what's going on? Like, why does he look that way? Like, is he okay? Like, you instantly go to bashing and jokes. Like that's insane. Like, it's insane. Like, and that's just, and that's the world we live in, which is, it's unfortunate. It's truly unfortunate.
That's what the video was about. I never got to actually see the video. By the time I knew about it, it was just memes posted all over the internet. I never even got to see what the video was about. So the fact that it was about something important and people don't even know that, that's just another level of nonsense to me. I didn't even get to see it. I didn't get to find out because I too was stopped by that.
Yeah, I never saw it either. I only saw a screenshot, and I never knew about any of the people talking bad about the video.
He donated $4.2 million, like for the 42 to PPA to first responders for COVID. Like this is what the video was. Life of Jackie Robinson's great. Also, I'm putting money to help the people out there on the front line.
And like it's not even like they watched the video. They were just like the comments were strictly on his appearance and his weight and like how he looked. It wasn't even about the video. Like that's what people were bashing. And you know, and it's like, you know, this happens this year in light of everything that's going on in this year. Like this dude gets on and he's looking like that, and that's your immediate response. Like it's insane.
Like on top of all these people being sick, that's what you want to do.
And we just lost Kobe and Gigi. Like that's the other thing. Like we just lost them, and then COVID's happening. Like this pandemic is spreading across the globe. Like everything going on with 2020, and it still doesn't make you stop to think like what this person could be going through.
We need to have more empathy for one another. Period. It doesn't matter who, old or young, you know, black or white. Like if we don't have empathy for one another, this is why we're having all the problems that we're having.
Yeah, people just they never care till it's personal.
Yeah, which is and
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the lack of empathy thing. Like if you can't, I don't even know. I mean, that's just as a human, as a person, like to look at another person and want to criticize. Like, what is that? Like, I mean, because like, what does that say about you? Like, what kind of person are you to go and with someone who's done what he's done in the time span, in the public light that we've been able to enjoy his company and the work that he's put out? Why is it that as soon as this happens, like this is what you want to say? Like you instantly go to bash and critique and criticize like over something that he may or may not be in control of. You know what I'm saying? Like even with, I mean, celebrities in general, like athletes, everybody, like anyone who's in the public eye, like you look at as soon as they start building a following and fame, like people come out and instantly want to find the flaws and figure out what's wrong with this person. Like it's evil.
I can't remember.
Thoughtless, careless, selfish.
But you know, listen, you don't know anybody's life, positive or negative, based on a picture or 1 minute video you've seen on the internet. You know, Twitter and Instagram tend to be very parabolic mediums where the things that get shared the most are the things on the opposite ends of extremes. And maybe you should take the time to either dismiss yourself completely when crap is none of your business like this, or, you know, don't feel like you have to make all your comments on somebody's personal to the world.
So you couldn't talk ish this much back in the day because one, you just didn't have access to everybody, but two, like people could pull up on you and fight you. There was no like IG or Facebook where you could just write whatever. Like you couldn't just talk about somebody in a place where people would know about it because then you get smacked up.
Yeah, I mean back then they only had to deal with like the media,
Yeah.
like publications and what people the editors in those large publications were writing about him, like now you can hear everyone's opinion and see.
I just gotta say that's the most somber tone I've ever heard somebody say. It used to be act up, get smacked up. There was no like energized voice. You were just like kept it where you were, and we're like, yeah, man, it used to be.
Right now, man, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean that's the toxic internet culture. Internet culture is just toxic. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you have to take breaks from it. Like, you can't just be in like entrenched in that 24/7. Like, it's not going to be good for your mental health. It's just not. And people wonder why celebrities have other people run their social accounts. That's why. That's exactly why.
I couldn't imagine it. Like, my issues with, image and everything, I had to pull myself off of social media, but not because anything that anybody was saying to me. I didn't have anybody coming at me all day. I had no one commenting on me. It was just me seeing myself and comparing my photos to other photos. That was too much for me, to where I had to pull myself off of social media for a minute. There was a good 2-year period where no one saw me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I just wasn't posting. And I'm back on in moderation now, but I couldn't imagine feeling this way already, because it's not easy to. I remember when my mom, was sick and her body changed, how she felt in comparison to her old self. Chadwick had to compare himself to the body that he was able to have for Black Panther. He was able to bulk up. He was able to slim down for other roles, but they still were larger than his normal self. So imagine you are already struggling within yourself. You're sick. Your body is changing. You're going through a lot of stress because of that. And then the internet is coming at you tenfold. I'm surprised he even kept it up at all. I understand why, he didn't want to share his struggle for the world. But
yeah, I saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he was inspired to keep it secret, I believe, by his mother, who also battled cancer. I don't know if it was colon cancer. Don't quote me on that, but I know that his mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she kept it private and didn't let anyone, or hardly anyone, know. But her inner circle. So, and he did the same. Like, I think the outpour from his peers and the other celebrities and his castmates from all of the other films that he's worked on throughout these 4 years, the majority of them had no idea. Ryan Coogler didn't know, and he directed Black Panther, which blew me. Like, that blew my mind. Like, this man kept it secret from Ryan Coogler.
They were getting ready to film the next one. He was apparently preparing himself to film the next one.
Yeah, and like now in hindsight, like I remember people were upset with Disney about them pushing out the release for Black Panther 2, because it's like, it's one of their most successful projects was Black Panther 1, and people were trying to figure out, like, why did they keep pushing it back? And like now in hindsight, it's like, oh, well, clearly this is the reason why. Like, they didn't know, like, if he was going to be able to recover. I think what's the president of Disney? I think he knew, and definitely Kevin Feige knew. So he told a few people, but I mean, it was pretty much the executives. Like, so it was Kevin Feige and Bob Iger is his name, is the president of Disney. So they were in the loop. They knew, and so like they were trying to work around his shooting schedule, and then his chemo treatments, and giving him time to recover, and just not publicizing. Like, they would just. And it's like, honoring and respecting that. I give them respect for that, because they could have easily, said something or, hinted at it, but he wanted to keep a secret, and they honored that. So, looking at especially the castmates and from Black Panther talk about their interactions and them, being just as shocked as we were was also shocking. Like, because I want to say, if I don't know what everyone's like faith, spirituality, and religious background are, but divine purpose to me is exactly what we saw through Chadwick, in my opinion. Like, it's the like, to Lou's point, the roles that he played, I feel that he understood the moment that he was living in, and the gravity of every role that he took had, and the impact that it had on the culture and would have on the culture, and the importance of not only these historical figures that he portrayed, but also Black Panther and the fictional characters that he played. I think he understood the importance of the moment that he lived in, and I think that he didn't want to let his personal struggles overshadow what these moments would mean for the culture. And it's a rare soul to understand that and not let his own personal life, I guess, I don't know, I don't want to say getting, but like, kind of, I don't want, maybe overshadow, I don't know, but like, clearly he wanted to let this moment be what it was and let people judge and interact and appreciate his performances and everything without I guess, I don't know, maybe it's like the sympathy or whatever, but I'm not sure. Like, to me, it feels like he really just wanted people to appreciate his work for what it was and what he did. And I mean, like, him going to the children's hospitals with kids that were undergoing chemo for cancer, like him going up into hospitals dressed as Black Panther, and all the stuff that he was doing in that time span, fighting his own personal battle in private. That's incredible to me. Like, that's one of the reasons why it hurts that we lost someone of that magnitude, of that really understands that these moments in the gravity and the weight of what it was that he of his performances.
I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk about getting like baseline colonoscopies and sort of how hard that is to do. So Chadwick Boseman found out he was stage 3 at 38. The way medical research is largely based around the white male, that 38 is before you are able to get a baseline covered by health insurance, because the recommended age is 40. And to get a colonoscopy before 40, you have to show direct lineage family history for most insurance companies. So it can't be like your uncle had colon cancer. It's like your dad or your mom's had colon cancer. And it's a weird thing because like the balance is, one, because the rates are higher amongst Black people, you want to tell people that means maybe you should get your first colonoscopy at 35. But then you also got to understand the way our health system set up is it's not a simple task. So you got to have a doctor who has your back to go make sure you get the health checked. Because colon cancer caught early is an easier treatable thing. You catch it stage 3 or later, like Chadwick did, then it is harder to come back from.
That's a whole other conversation we could get into, but you're absolutely right. The medical system is not built around us; it's built around them. It's built to benefit them, and we have problems differently than they do. We experience things at different times. We are more susceptible to certain things as they are others, and we might have to start. Well, not might. We do. We have to fight for a change in that. If African American people are more susceptible to colon cancer at younger ages, and that age being 40 or 50, that's too low, too high. Excuse me. It needs to drop down.
Yeah, and I mean that it speaks to the state of our healthcare system as a whole, because one, that colon cancer is one of the most deadly forms of cancer. So the fact that you have an age limit for some that's what preventative kind of, no, it's not preventative. Well, precautionary
your
screenings,
baseline colonoscopy screening.
Like, if those things should be accessible, don't tell me it's a cost thing, because I don't believe you. Like, we spend billions of dollars on war. Like, you mean tell me like we can't spend like more on the health and well-being of the people who live in this country? Like that, you're not making sense to me. So I don't want to hear that. That's a horrible argument, terrible argument. Try again. I'm a JBN. Do you have a comment? I'm gonna go to the comment section real quick. We got couple comments came in.
Bernard said it's a part of this cancel culture thing. People trash others because of their insecurities. I'm actually off of the socials for those reasons. It can get mentally draining. Kanar is my god brother, and I could say although our falling off of social media isn't connected, definitely happened around the same time, and he's right. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean it puts some things in perspective for myself, because on my mother's side, there's got some relatives that have Lynch syndrome, which makes you more susceptible to getting cancers like colon cancer. I've had an endoscopy within the past year for like gut issues. So
you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Maya Angelou. It was with Maya Angelou voice, but I'm not gonna do that today.
Yes. Amen.
Shout out to all the random ties Maya Angelou stopped at the T just because.
It seems most of the great ones contribute so much in a short period of time. You should live each day as if it's your last. Your actions speak very loudly. Man, somebody tell that to 45? Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
I don't know. I've had a good week.
Yeah, we keep it on Chadwick. We ain't gonna talk about that.
Let's get into the films. Did you guys see Jackie Robinson? How did you feel about it? Or 42, I should say.
I didn't see either of those, but I did see James Brown, 21 Bridges. Yeah, I kind of fell back from 42 and Thurgood Marshall. I didn't want to sit through Jim Crow era racism.
Yeah, I didn't see Thurgood, but I saw 42 and James Brown, and I mean, his performances have been remarkable. Like, I mean, he
was a dope James Brown.
Yeah, I mean, whenever he's on screen, like, you can tell he puts in the work for, like, you don't even have to wonder if he works hard or if he's dedicated to his craft. It comes through on screen instantly. Like, his And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I believe he truly understood the gravity and the weight and the importance of the roles that he was playing, and I think that um, he really understood what it was, the importance of this moment and those characters and those figures, historical figures. I hadn't seen Thurgood. I want to watch it now, just because um, it's worth it. Like I've got to see everything that he's been in, and I got to see it multiple times. I got to support it. Got to.
I didn't even know James Brown was pigeon-toed until I saw the movie. That's all I could look at was his feet.
When you talk about what you don't know,
Oh no, we lost Lou.
While we wait for Lou to come back, I got to see James Brown for free at a free screening in Greensboro. It was just a little outside of Greensboro. I remember like I signed up for this free screening thing just to see what would happen. And when I tell you, I got to see mad stuff, and like I was after graduation, maybe 2016, 2017, and I went to go see it with my friend Sterling, and it was so good. I went back and paid for it. So I got to see James Brown twice. I saw it once for free.
Yeah,
I paid.
that was a good movie.
This was good.
Great performance.
hey, I was saying before I managed things about the stuff you didn't know. So I didn't see Get On Up. That's actually the one I didn't see. But at the time 42 came out, and Marshall being about Thurgood Marshall before he was the Supreme Court Justice, he was in movies where the role of the historical figure sort of pulled back some of the glorification, like Jackie Robinson integrated baseball, and you would believe everybody was instantly a Jackie Robinson fan. You watch 42 and you see this man traveling the games, keeping low on the bus, getting stuff thrown at him, silently enduring and then smiling at press conferences. And you watch Marshall and see Thurgood Marshall, the lawyer, not Thurgood Marshall, the Supreme Court Justice, specifically tracking down cases of people who had been wrongly accused of crimes for being Black, and like going into rooms, hitting those. And I think it is an acting challenge and a testament to the work you do, where like you pick this role where you have to simultaneously play the regalness of the legend, where people still watch the movie and find this man hyper respectable, but then show the tragedy of the man and what they had to endure as Black people in different times in American history. Like that's a hard balance to pull off.
After watching Ray, I just knew that there would never be another great biopic like that. Like no one could do that. And I saw Get On Up free. I had to pay to watch it again, and I might argue that Chadwick Boseman was just as good James Brown as Jamie Foxx was Ray Charles. Just easy.
Yeah,
I need to watch it again. Like that's all I've been thinking about all week. I saw Black Panther twice, but what I really wanted to watch was Get On Up.
Yeah, he studied. He worked hard. It's clear that he studied these figures to try to portray them as accurately as Lou was referring to as possible, but also keeping that level of engagement and interest on screen for the viewers. Like, it's an interesting balance for actors to balance realism and entertainment for the sake of a movie, and he did a great job in those roles. And like I got to see Thurgood, but I'm sure that that's going to be impressive. So
also, let's not forget about the Five Bloods on Netflix. I have not gotten a chance to see it. It dropped.
Yeah, I haven't either, but it's
I
highly recommend to go see that. It's a great.
It's flashing across your screen now, though, so you won't forget.
Definitely need to take a look at that.
Bloods.
Netflix
Yeah,
is
so
quick, by the way. That was in the header real quick.
yeah, for real. Let us know in the comments too, like what were some of your favorite roles of his, or if you got any comments or anything you want to say about Chadwick, any memories, just experiences in the theaters watching one of his movies or wherever you saw it. Yeah, let us know. Let's talk about it.
Can I say, before we start talking about Black Panther specifically, can y'all tell me how you felt when you saw him for the first time in Civil War? As
I was hyped.
Super hype.
I was super hyped.
When they did the cutscene at the end of, it might have been one of the Avenger movies, when they showed Wakanda at the end credits, I jumped out of my seat.
Yeah.
It was
What movie was that? Was that no? It was Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
No.
There's an end credit scene in Winter Soldier because they take. Don't they take?
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't Winter
it was
Soldier.
at the end of Civil War.
Civil War.
Wakanda, yeah, it was the same movie.
I thought they teased Wakanda before that though.
Me too.
They did. They do
teased.
tease. No Banner. There. No, yeah, they didn't. But I think
they mentioned
they
Wakanda
were
by
discussing
word.
it. Yeah, they were mentioning it
after Avengers 2. They mentioned Wakanda exists. Yeah, that's going way too far back. But they had originally planned on doing Black Panther earlier. Then they were like, "Nah, we're gonna do Guardians of the Galaxy instead." And so that's why you heard it earlier. But like, first time.
Probably what's the movie? Ultron, Age of Ultron, right? Because they made all of that vibranium.
Yeah, Avengers 2 is when they
yeah.
So
that was the first. I think that was the first mention. Yeah.
First time Black Panther showed up, though, I was just on the hype train of T'Challa could have taken down everybody if he wanted to. That man on foot chased down a motorcycle and was like, "What's good?" Then he showed up and was like, "Oh, this shield is alien. Scratch, what's good?" It's super interesting too, because when you talk about the man T'Challa is in his community and the man T'Challa had to be in the external world, they're day and night. Gravitas of the situation, his dad died. He was like, "Let's get it cracking. I am a man of few words, and you gonna catch these claws." And so, like, my first impression of him is entirely different than my impression of him in Black Panther, where, like, the first time was just like, "Oh, this is some cool superhero stuff right here." And the second time was like, "Oh, this is a dope character."
Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes is from Civil War from him, like when they get captured and he asks Captain America, like, "How long do you think you can keep your friends safe from me?" Like, yo, when he said that in the theater the first time, bro, I got chills. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is it right here, boy." I was like, "Yes, sir, that's Black Panther. That's it. That's the dude. That's my man." And then I think the first time I see him on screen in Civil War 2, when he's standing, like he's overlooking, he's looking out the window. I think they tease it in the trailer, and like I think that's our first look at Chadwick in the role, and he looks over his shoulder, and then they get that on camera. I think I remember seeing that in the teaser trailer for Civil War, and it was like hype. I was like, "Yo, I'm sold. I'm in it. I don't need to know anything else about it. Black Panther's in it. I'm good. I'm going." I was going regardless, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm extra sold now.
We got to see him as a king, in my opinion, in Civil War at the very end, where I don't remember the character's name, but the gentleman who pretended to be the psychiatrist who caused all the problems in Civil War.
Yeah.
He spared him, like when they were talking, and I can say that now after having seen Black Panther, that bit of him and how he spoke and how he carried himself, that's the same Black Panther we got, the same king that we got in the film. And that's dope to see now. But I don't think I would have realized it in that moment without having watched Black Panther after.
Hey, I don't know, like you say spare, but the way he said it, it wasn't like spare, because he was like, "The living are not done with you yet."
Yeah.
That man was cold that entire movie.
Yeah.
Like,
he was frosty. That whole movie, bro. He was frosty. he was keeping it 110 with everybody. Like that Jones. I you know, I love that too for the fact that he's the love and respect that he has for his father is something we don't see on screen a lot. And although it is a fictional character, it is very important to see because, like, personally, I love and respect my father on that level. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when his dad dies in the movie, and like his reaction is like I was 110% there for it because I would have had the same gut reaction, like my mom and my dad, but like for definitely for just the public perception, like we don't see that love and respect and admiration between father and son, especially for black characters in movies. So like for that to be there was like that was like everything.
So the fact that Nosa is the official language of Wakanda is actually a result of Chadwick Boseman in Civil War.
Yeah,
because they initially wrote the scene between him and his father, who's played by John Connie, African actor legend, in English. And it was Chadwick Boseman who said, why would they be talking to each other in English? Why wouldn't they be talking to each other in their native tongue? And like in that same day, Chadwick Boseman learned a language with like 3 whole clicks and sounds that we don't use in order to have this conversation and also and like solidify.
And it was one of the most tender moments like in the MCU, like not even in the movie, but like in the whole of the MCU, like that moment to me where they're having that conversation in their native tongue was, and what they're saying and was like incredible to me. Like it's a deeply emotional connecting moment.
I'm very thankful that Wesley Snipes was Blade instead of Black. Because I love Blade. There's a lot of people don't like those movies. I like Wesley Snipes. I like Blade. I see the trilogy. That's one of my comfort films. Like if I just need to put something on, I will watch the whole trilogy all the way through. And not that I don't think he could have been a great Black Panther. I'm just grateful that we got Chadwick instead.
Yeah, before we get too far, because we're almost an hour into it, I want to get to Kanar's comment about the Denzel Washington sponsoring because that was very impactful. Because I know, so I think there were 8 students that were trying to get into that. What's the institute? It's a.
They had already been. I don't know the name of the school. They had already been accepted, but they didn't have the money to go.
They didn't have the money, right? And so Denzel Washington paid for those 8 students, and he didn't know who they were. Someone approached Denzel about it, and he just paid for it. And later they're honoring I can't remember what award show that was, but they're honoring Denzel at this ceremony, and Chadwick is one of the speakers, and he gets up and tells that story, and it's like one of the most incredible things. And like if you haven't seen that, I don't know if maybe we need to find a link to it and then post it in the chat, but that definitely go check that out, because it's like that's what we mean like by Black empowerment and being there for each other. Like that's a story that you wouldn't hear a lot about. Denzel didn't make a big fuss about it. He just did it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. Like it's not like he had to be coerced or convinced to do it. He was like, yo, all right, 8 Black kids need a scholarship, I got them, no questions asked, right?
Yeah, and that's the fact that he didn't know is what makes it so funny, because like Chadwick Boseman, forever grateful, first time he tells Denzel Washington, he's like, oh, so you the guy who owed me money? Like, oh, that was a thing I did a long time ago. Never thought I'd see that again.
And Angela Bassett also tells a similar story, because she spoke at, I think, their commencement at Howard, and he walked her on stage. Mm-hmm. And when they were shooting Black Panther, he told her that story because she forgot that was him that brought her up on stage. And so that was like, so it's wild, man, like how small Black Hollywood is, because like that's incredible.
Yeah, when you talk about how small Black Hollywood is in Black Panther, Forrest Whitaker funded Fruitvale Station for Ryan Coogler, in which he found Michael B. Jordan, which it was like that was Michael B. Jordan's first adult role.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched Fruitvale to Forrest Whitaker at like a gala or whatever, and Forrest Whitaker's like, let's get this funded, and like all of that collides in this one movie.
Yeah. Victor Cooper says the movies he played will forever impact our next generation. However, the commencement speech at Howard after receiving the doctorate, had me in tears. Yes.
That's hard to watch.
Yeah. It is. That's another. Yeah. Once again, that's a moment where he knows what he's going through, and like not in hindsight, watching it, you're like, yo, it just hits different. And it's inspiring and emotional, and I think I saw it before all this news broke and everything happened. And it was very impactful, and like now it's like it's one of those solidifying and sobering moments, and you appreciate him even more for it.
Yeah. Pop Dukes, what's up?
Yeah, and it was the 2019 AFI Achievement Award, and Felicia Rashad was a guest professor at Howard when he introduced her on stage. Thank you guys for clarifying.
And Felicia Rashad was the person who connected Denzel Washington with the students.
With the students, yeah.
That's what's up.
This doesn't feel fun talking about someone in that way.
It's like he represented us in almost every aspect of society as Black people. Like in 21 Bridges, he was a producer for that movie. And 21 Bridges was about corrupt cops. So you got Chadwick Boseman, who represented for us in sports with Jackie Robinson, in music with James Brown, with a lawyer in Thurgood Marshall, a king in fantasy, and a stand-up cop in 21 Bridges. It's like, if it doesn't get any more full circle than that as an actor representing for us a group of people, I don't know what does.
Yeah, facts.
It's almost like he got to do a little bit of everything just in time.
Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, it's
like, of course, we're not happy that he passed at his age, but he did a lot of shit. Like, it's almost
in that time period. Like, that's what. Yeah, I mean, that's that divine purpose thing for me. Like that to me, that's what it is. Like, I mean, he understood what he needed to do in the time, and he was fighting. Of course, he was fighting for his life, but it's kind of like now you kind of look at it and go, maybe he was doing all of this because, this was a moment, and he was just taking advantage of the opportunities and making sure that he had an impact, and he did these things, before it was over. And then, if he survived, look what he'd already accomplished. And it's like, we would love to see him continue to do more and to continue, his work. I mean, he's 43 years old. He was so young. Like, it's that's why it's tough. It's tough. That's part of the reason, and that's also too the thing with Kobe when he passed, because it's like he had rededicated to basketball, but for his daughter Gigi and the WNBA and women's basketball. And he was a huge advocate for the WNBA and women's basketball before his daughter started playing, and then that gave him extra motivation as his daughter began to play. And it's like, to lose both of them that's for me personally what what it was like. That was the thing. It's like, you know, to see Kobe fall in love with basketball again, because he walked away from basketball. He was like, yo, I'm done. Like, I'm out. Like, when he walked off that court after dropping 60 points in his final game in the most Kobe way possible, like, he really kind of stayed out. And then, like, he founds the Mamba Academy, and then he's, you know, where it's all girls. And, you know, he's got other NBA legend daughters in this camp, and, you know, he's rededicated to the game of basketball because of his daughter. And it's like, you know, that within itself was that's heartbreaking. But I guess, I mean, you know, him, Chadwick, Gigi, and to lose point, this happening during Kobe Week 8/24 is now is that a official holiday in LA?
I don't know if it's a permanent holiday or like the one time when they do. I'm not sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's a 8/24 is Kobe Day, like, you know, and then all that to happen all in the same week is like the continued emotional roller coaster of 2020.
I can't help but think about everything that he accomplished in his time, and then talk about Kobe, and just I lost a brother at a young age, and you know, I can't help but think sometimes like what could be happening now if he were still here. But I've had to learn that that's not what's important. In a way, it does not matter. What's important is the time that I had with him and how he used it. And you know, I see a lot of people complaining about Black Panther, saying don't do Black Panther 2, saying it should be this, it should be that, or don't make the movie, or some people saying even, you know, wow, what are they going to do now? Or I wonder what it could have been like. Like, don't worry about that right now. It's not important. What we need to think about when it comes to Chadwick Boseman is what he did. You don't have to think about what could have been or what should be changing now because of it. It's okay to just embrace what someone was here doing and not to think about the future. Although it is hard to do, especially like if you relate it back to Kobe and you know the WNBA. Kobe's loss was in a way a loss for the WNBA.
Yeah, it was a huge blow.
Yeah, but the only thing I can think of is, you know, there something is going to come of that. And the only thing that we can do is think about how much Kobe loved WNBA. He loved women's basketball. And we need to turn around and love it too.
Yeah. Yeah, to honor, we have to continue to honor the legacy of Chadwick and Kobe and Gigi and everything they stood for and everything that they were trying to accomplish while they were still here. And I mean, to your point, the speculating on what could have been and what could be and what they should do or shouldn't do with the character of Black Panther is premature. Number one, way too early. He's not been laid to rest yet, and even when he is, like, that movie Black Panther 2, I think is scheduled to come out 2022. They're going to push that back, and they need to, because they need to take time to find the right person or the right scenario situation in order to handle that. But that's not even a conversation that we should be having or Disney should be having or anyone, especially not publicly, like in private, sure, but we're let this man and his legacy and his family and all of his loved ones, his family and friends, absorb this moment, take the time that they need to just, you know, figure out what's next for them and how they move forward. Like, we are all humans. Like, we need time to to process. Like we needed time last week to figure out with all that was going on what was needed to be said, and if we were, you know, should we do a show, should we not do a show, because we had an entire show planned, and we could not talk about this. Like we had to talk about this, but we just weren't as a group ready to talk about it. So, you know,
That was just his passing was the start to a very heavy weekend for me. I don't know about y'all. I don't know if your weeks were already going smoothly, but I don't know anyone who that news caught them while they were at a good moment. And I think all around it was just like time was needed to get through that.
mm-hmm.
Mrs. Cooper says we all have a part in this script called life, up to each of us to make a positive impact daily.
Absolutely,
Big facts.
100% agree. Something that my parents have instilled in me for sure from birth. Uh, Always trying to figure out a way to make life better for everyone around you and yourself, and that's what Chadwick was doing. Um, that's what Kobe and Gigi were doing. That's what everyone that, you know, everyone we celebrate and everyone we mourn that we've lost was doing. Like they were a positive influence on us in many ways. That's why it hurts to lose them, because they meant something to us, and what their life and legacy meant to us while they were here was very positive and very impactful for us all, which is why it's so painful. And I mean, we don't know them personally, but whenever you are in the public spotlight, you're giving people a part of you, and how it was received was positive, and we appreciate everything that they did and everything that Chadwick has done in his life. Um, and you know, all we can hope to do is, in light of his passing, continue to be a positive influence in the lives of the people around us.
If this is really just hard to talk about or hard to process right now, I found that the best way to feel a little better is watching bloopers. Watching Black Panther bloopers will make you feel good. You will not be sad. Like if you want to be a little sad after, you might be, but trust me, they will absolutely improve your mood. Seeing someone smile and happy while they're here definitely always makes you feel a little bit better.
Listen to Baby Underbite spit them bars.
Oh my goodness.
Who? What?
Who?
Letitia.
So what's her name?
Oh,
Letitia, right?
Yeah. Did she name herself Baby Underbite? I don't remember that.
So she was like freestyling, and she had the face jewelry from the ceremony.
Yes.
And somebody made a joke, and they started calling her Baby Underbite.
I'm dead. I didn't hear about Baby Underbite. But she was definitely spitting bars. Baby bars.
that's hilarious. Baby underbite.
Before we change the subject, how many times did y'all get to see Black Panther in theaters?
5. I saw it.
3 or 4 for me.
So this is before Movie Pass hit the dark ages. So all I had to do was go to the movies and swipe. So I watched it opening night. I watched it on a date. Then I watched it with a notebook. Then I watched it in IMAX because there was no IMAX theater near me. And I watched it like I helped sponsor a trip for the boys group I mentored during the school year to go see it. Then the podcast, the Poyef Pod, actually paid for a group of kids in the DC area to go see it. So like there was deckies that went to that too.
I saw it with my mom. I saw it on a first date. I saw it on a second date with that same person, and
Oh wow, y'all was just like run the whole thing back.
Rewind.
and so for him, the first date was my first time seeing it. Was that? I think that was my first time seeing it, but that was his second time. He had already seen it, and then I saw it on with my mom. So the first date, then my mom, then the second date, and I think I saw it one more time with a friend. I don't think I saw that with my dad. I don't think so.
Yeah, I saw it twice, and I don't remember who I saw it with. I think it was my brother the first time, and I might have seen it with you, Coop.
Yeah, I think we saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it 3 times. I know I saw it opening night. I don't think you saw it with me on opening night. That was probably one of those things where you were like either coming like you're coming home late from work or something.
For some reason I feel like driving to Greensboro, and we went.
Oh no, but that was the next day. I saw it opening night.
Okay.
And you were supposed to come up from Raleigh, and we were going to see it on opening night, but like I think work interfered, and you would be kind of flaky, and I was like, bro, I'm out. I'm going. And then the next day we went and saw it together, and then I think I saw it again with the fam in Seabreeze. I'm pretty sure we all watched it together.
I wish I could go back to that. I'll never forget when I saw it with my mom. I was in a theater full of only Black people. It was just us. It was a private screening, and everybody showed up. No, everybody who got tickets made sure they were in there for this event. But when Killmonger said, "Hey, Auntie," to Angela Bassett's character, and like everybody was, "Oh!" People did that at the same time, and I'll just remember how good that felt. Yeah, that felt good. That was dope seeing that.
Yeah, watching it in Greensboro versus watching it in Wilmington were two completely different experiences. For sure, in the theater, it was a little bit more lively and rowdy in the Greensboro theater in a good way. Like people were like excited, and just because of course there's a larger Black population up here than down in the port city. And I think we went to I'm pretty sure we saw it in Mayfair, which is definitely not a lot of melanin out there near Wrightsville Beach. So it was so quieter theater. Wasn't as many cheers throughout, but I think everyone in the theater enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We had a great time because we roll about 2 cars deep, so we had our section and we had a blast up there.
There's always a healthy amount of negativity on social media, racist negativity whenever there is something Black going down, but it's easy to see that like everybody enjoyed Black Panther.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
The haters have something to say, of course, but like on the inside, they were like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Shout out the Black community randomly be like, yo, we all going to see this movie in African inspired garb just because like it just caught like that. This is one of my favorite Black things to happen. Just Black people, somebody do something and everybody be like, hey, that's it. That's the thing. We turned it
into an entirely cultural experience.
First of all, we had our outfits planned. I don't know, like, do y'all remember thinking about, yo, what am I gonna wear? The first time I wore it, I had an outfit planned. Okay, I did not wear kente cloth, but I had on all Black. I was ready to go, and a lot of people were like, "Do we really have to go to the movies like this? Like, why are we doing this?" And now that Chadwick has passed, I am so grateful. I rolled up in there looking like Shaft, like. Yeah, I needed
that. Looking like Chad.
I was going Black from head to toe. I knew that's what I was wearing. Just when I saw the trailer, I said, "Oh no, I'm gonna be ready for this one." I wore kente cloth the second time.
I didn't take it that far, but the theatrical experience was definitely a highlight, and I remember leading up to um, the movie, of course, there were a lot of like the movie polls and projections going around to how much money the movie would make the first week, and I think most people were projecting like between like 200 and like 250 mil the opening week. And I'm like, bro, black people don't poll, so I don't know who you're asking, but I guarantee you the majority of African Americans in this country that have access to a theater are going to go see this movie regardless of if they watched the trailer one or two times. Like it, if they heard about it, they know somebody that knows and has heard about it, and they're going to go see this. Like this is going to be an entire like family experience. And so Hollywood was like surprised at how well the movie did opening weekend, and I'm sitting there like, bro, y'all still don't know how we operate. We do this every single time.
And we'll break the bank every time.
We do this every time. Y'all have no idea. But it was great. And it on top, it was a great movie all around. Like everyone enjoyed and loved the movie. And then it was also his introduction in Civil War was great because a lot of people who had no idea who the character was got that was their first introduction into the character. It generated a good level of interest because of his portrayal and how they used him in the movie. So like that naturally generates a lot of interest in the or what did Civil War come after? No,
Civil War came before.
It was first, right? Yeah.
In fact, the movie takes place like immediately after Civil War because they bury his father.
Yeah.
Bernard taking the Trinidadian flag is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
And you had to make it. You had to go show up like it was red carpet.
Special shout out to Mr. Cooper.
OG Coop, once again, good to see you, sir.
Love how he always announce and lets us know exactly who's speaking.
We got to know
Every time.
Oh man.
Okay. That was kind of heavy. Do we want to get into Lovecraft Country?
Let's I think we had someone who was recently featured in an article, right?
Most definitely.
We did.
Most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Thought we forgot, huh?
What's that about?
I read it, but
I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. So when you talk about Lovecraft Country, I got to write like a 2,500 word think piece that was published in a comic analysis publication, panel by panel. It's titled White Hate, Black Rage. And so I feel like nothing is off limits for what I want to write now, because once you come out the gate with that, you don't really got to hold anything back. And whether or not you've read Bitterroot, like I would hope you read this and go read Bitterroot. What I try to get at is the nature of horror for Black people and how that is different from horror as it exists in popular culture, where Lovecraft Country, named after H.P. Lovecraft, Lovecraft's considered a father of modern horror, whose face was on the World Fantasy Award trophies for decades. It's like the greatest fear is fear of the unknown. And I'm like, that's not how it works if you're Black, because you can fear very tangible, very real things that happen to you. If you're talking about slavery in the 1800s, getting lynched during Jim Crow, or police encounters now, those are very tangible things. And so I talk about how the comic actually uses that to create horror and only shows us the monsters to personify the types of things that we fear. I also throw in like as much American history as I can slickly slide in there, in case people want to know more about times in this history where this country has been shown a clear path towards something better, and then be like, nah, we're gonna double down on what we've been doing.
A link to the publication is now in the chat, guys. If you haven't purchased, please, it's $3. Go pick it up.
Yeah, there's a couple other dope essays in there too. There is.
Overall, it's pretty. I because I read yours and there's some other ones in there, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's one about how the comic book uses the coloring scheme inspired by the art of the Harlem Renaissance. And I was like, yo, I didn't know that. That's dope. There is an article about a black woman and how she feels about the strong black woman trope and how it is challenged in this world and what it's like to have to be strong in the face of a bunch of crap and to feel like you can't let yourself waver a little bit. So yeah, I am aside some other pretty dope essayist, writers, analysts, etc.
Wait.
Yeah. let it breathe. Let it breathe.
So, all right. So, how long? What was the process for you getting into this publication? Like, what all did you have to do? Have you been trying to? Is this something that you've been wanting to do for a while?
Yeah, actually, so it's super weird because I actually found at some point, not too long after Panel by Panel took my first pitch, that it was a 2019 goal. And so I had like this list of 2019 goals. Hardly any of them I got to, but now I see the power in writing goals because I've knocked out all but maybe one in 2020. So like it didn't come in the time I wanted to, but it came in due time. So it was cool. And so actually, so I got a series of articles eventually coming, though. I don't know if it's going to be a series of articles anymore because I've written a whole lot of words on on like the existence of Black people and how they exist in superhero comics. And so in the wake of the George Floyd incident, there's like nicer things I pitch, but this is the one where I was like, I'm a Black guy and I feel a need to talk about these Black topics. So I am going to throw out 3 articles for their open section. There's an open section called Solo where every month it's like the magazine might be on this, but we've just thrown in this other essay about this random thing because it's dope. And I had like this is a softball. This like gently touches on race thing. If y'all are super iffy about getting that political, maybe you'll take this one. And then there was like this is like mid-range. This is probably the level popular media likes to engage with Blackness. And then it was like, oh, this is the crap I really want to say. And the editor was like, oh, I like all 3 of these pitches. We don't have any room by like November, but we can be in talks to how we can work these in. And then the Bitter Root issue was coming out like 2 months later. So like the editor emailed me specifically and was like, oh, do you have thoughts on this comic? And I was like, oh, do I? Bitter Root is also a comic. One of the co-writers, coincidentally, David F. Walker, has been sort of my comic industry mentor. He allowed me to sit on a writing class taught by him and Brian Michael Bendis in Portland for free when I first moved out here. I met him at a con, and he always keeps it a thou wow whenever I ask him anything about the industry. So it was sort of serendipitous that the first piece I published got to be on something he wrote too. And so it came together in a lot of really cool ways. And it's interesting because I didn't realize how many words I had on this topic. And my first draft, I finished in like 4 days and was like 2,800 words. And so I didn't realize how much I had to say until I sat down to say it.
No, like like not surprising. It's a well thought out and composed article. I can tell, like most things, almost everything that you do and say, it's well thought out. Your explanations and the way you write, it's funny because like I read this and I hear you while I'm reading it, and I always appreciate that because like when you know a person and then you read or like see something that they've worked on, like you can see their influence in it, and like I can every sentence I just hear your voice in my head while I'm reading it, and I'm like, this is great. Like I love it. And a lot of the analogies that you make, especially like the Cloverfield and the fear factor of the unknown, and like not seeing the monster is probably the most scary. It's like that's the scariest part. Like not knowing what it looks like is when it's the most scary. And as you gain more exposure to it, and you're familiar with the form and shape, it becomes less scary because it becomes more familiar to you. Like, um, it's a very, very dope article. Well thought out, well composed. I recommend anyone and everybody who hasn't purchased it to go check this out. Not because Lou is my friend, not only because he's my friend, co-host, and producer extraordinaire for this show, but because it is legitimately a really good article and a good read.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Definitely made me think more about Lovecraft. It was definitely on brand with the conversation we had at the end of the first Lovecraft Country review, and just more stressful. Although I enjoyed reading it, I was sad afterwards. But that's just the life of Black people.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it dropping last week too, where it was like, oh man, I had to make this decision between pub this cool thing I wrote and take care of my mental health because it's been a long week.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked myself because the article as we're talking about it now is still there. But at the moment I was like, man, I should really be hyping this thing. But you know what? Kenosha is still happening and the RNC is happening and Chadwick Boseman just passed. So I'm going to take a break and it'll be there when I get back.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to look out for your mental first.
Although in a way, there's never a free day for us.
Yeah.
Stuff. So although I definitely respect you wanting to take that time, I was a little sad. Not really seeing a way out of it.
Yeah, not seeing a way out is the scary part. I think that's like one of the coolest things the comic actually does. It's like, yo, here's these white people who turn into monsters. But the scary thing is if we don't find a way out and give into the rage, we start to resemble them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what we want.
Yeah, I mean that is in many ways the ultimate challenge. It's right there. Like it's how you handle, how you balance, how you take care of your mental health and your well-being in order to continue to exist, to live, and to not let all of this overwhelm you and to like maintain your I guess your own what your not persona but your level of humanity. Like
yeah, I think I was like super glad I got to use that James Baldwin quote because I think in general I have this thing where people cut quotables short of the really keen observation of the quotable.
mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people know that whole James Baldwin, to be a Negro in this country and relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage all the time. But the next sentence is so that the first problem is to how to control that rage so it won't destroy you. Like he tells you about the rage, then he gives it context and people skip the context. The idea that rage can destroy you is scary.
Yeah, no, yeah. Spot like and it's that context. Like that's the sound bite, right? Like them editing the quote that is out of context can be interpreted as controversial.
Yeah.
And when you add context to it, it's no longer controversial. But when you remove the context and you put out that somewhat controversial, like we understand what he meant, like we didn't need the context behind it, like innately we understand what he's talking about. But if you don't have the Black experience, like that can come across as threatening almost in a way. Like what is he actually saying here? But he gives context to it, to your point.
Yeah, so it's really cool to be able to do that. And
on the right?
Say what?
Will we get to see more of you in Panel X Panel?
Yeah, I'll let you know when the next thing is coming out. Again, I've had to go on back to like negotiation tables because similarly to when I said I didn't know how much words I had until I started writing, this other thing where the thing I pitched was like Black superheroes normally fall into one of four tropes. That being the Black soldier, the Black super genius, the former criminal, and the person who was elevated to hero status by their white savior. And when we only get to exist in these four ways, it does a lot of things socially. So one, it creates this form of acceptable Blackness that it transcends comics as in other mediums. There's acceptable Blackness. And then when you see yourself in this limited capacity in fiction, what does that say about the ways you're able to exist in reality? And so I somehow pitched this thinking like I can talk about all of that in 2,500 words or less. Mm-hmm. And each trope is like its own essay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Definitely. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to reading the rest of your articles and everything you've got coming out. And they'll all be featured in Panel by Panel, possibly, or is that part of the negotiation?
That's part of the negotiation. You got to see what works for the magazine, what they have coming up, and then just timing. Because if it's all one thought and each of those is an article, I kind of don't want you consuming that one piece. It's like, is one piece at a month the best way to consume all these ideas, or are you going to treat them as separate ideas if you read them a month apart? Yeah. And so the negotiations are less about whether or not they print my words, because as you saw with the first article, part of the reason I picked them as a publication is they will do everything they can to work with the voice you have. You even get to say, you don't get to design layout, but you get to say yes or no on magazine layout, which is like mind blowing to me. I didn't know that till after I pitched, because magazines don't let you have a say in your layout. It's just figuring out what's the best way to present it where I feel like the message I want to get across is going to come across.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like that they allow you that input for sure, because like you said, there are a lot of publications that will just publish how they feel. That's going to, in a way that they're more concerned about it fitting into their publication and their layout than they are the message and the author's what the author is trying to convey.
Yeah.
Whichever way you decide to present that, I'm hyped for it. I don't think you were there for the conversation, Lou, but we had a conversation off camera about women and how we are Black women in film and how we are represented. And there's like 3 categories every Black white falls under, and I'm sick and tired of it. And yeah, it was a little funny, but just like, can we do other things? Like we are capable of doing all. Why do we have to be in these little boxes? And so I'd never really thought about that for comics. It's pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because last week all of the stuff was not funny, but it's the like you said, the time in John Boyega and Ray Fisher coming out with all that stuff that's going on behind the scenes with Disney, Lucasfilm, and DC, and Universal, I guess, whoever the overarching. But like, you know, to your point, Lou, and to Monty, like they have these experiences that we know are happening behind the scenes, and we've experienced, like, if I know I read, not to jump too far off topic, but I read John Boyega's article too that he published, and I'm reading that, and I'm like, personally, I've experienced a lot of what he's talking about, and then it's like for that to happen, putting myself in his shoes, you know, him being a lifelong Star Wars fan, to be cast in this movie and to have that experience is like heartbreaking. I mean, it would crush you. Like, it's crushing.
Yeah. I also found it weird how the secondary sources were reporting it. Like John Boyega was saying that in the context of him being an angry black guy. While if you catch the GQ article, like it was somewhere in the middle of the article and was just him speaking facts about his experience and not sugarcoating it. And I was like, yeah, I see what y'all are trying to do and contort it. And writing the headline that got that negative response of, you should just be grateful you were in Star Wars. I'm like, yo, like,
and you're like,
GQ
oh,
article, that's
Lord.
not really how that played.
So much, man. Stop telling us we need to be grateful for things that y'all will not let us have.
Facts. Like, I mean, if you didn't have a great experience on, and like, not only that, he says in the article that, you know, Daisy and Adam Driver all, I mean, it's clear they had these conversations. It's no secret. Like, everyone, and they all had their own experiences too. Like, I mean, they bullied Daisy Ridley off of social media as well. Like, and then they tried to do the same thing with John, but he never backed down. And like, that's just, you know, that's part of his character and that's part of who he is, and we love and appreciate him for it as well.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I said I was gonna get into it, but I will get into it just a little bit. Telling a black person that they should be grateful for an opportunity only confirms that you don't think that they should have had that opportunity in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Confirming your racist mindset when you tell a black person or a person in general, if you tell somebody you just need to be grateful for something, that means you don't think they should have that in the first place. So just, you know, just a little food for thought. I don't think any of those people that actually feel this way are watching right now, and you know, that's their loss, but like, it needs to stop.
And if you are one of those people and you are watching, like, understand, like, you know, what that you understand what it is that you're saying. And like, if you mean that in that context, like, you really need to evaluate who you are as a person.
They don't care.
Yeah. So when John Boyega was talking about nuance, and I guess there's another like concise, well-worded thing. So I think at the core, the other thing I told you on writing, how I sort of describe it now is when you talk about the nuance white people get and the lack of nuance black people get, it's a matter of allegory and caricature, where like the lens you view a fictional thing from, because fiction is always a distortion of reality, matters. And allegory is concerned with stripping away all the complications and details of life so that you can hint at something at the core of humanity and tell like this very human story. And caricature, like if you go to a carnival and get a caricature, it's about exaggerating characteristics that are notable to create a funny or larger than life representation of the subject. And the thing about caricature is what is exaggerated or seem notable about a character is always rest on the viewpoint of the artist creating. And so when black characters are stripped down to these one or two characteristics they're going to repeat over and over, like black people get caricature roles, white characters get allegories about their human struggle.
Yeah. There are, this is not like, this is a thing. This is not something that's new to Hollywood. It is certainly nothing that we are surprised by to hear, because at some point in our lives, we've all experienced it in some form or fashion. And for me, I appreciate the fact that they've been allowed, even though they should, I hate saying it that way, but like they have a platform and they've used it to voice their experiences. I'm talking about John Boyega and Ray Fisher, especially Ray Fisher, because it sounds like what Ray Fisher went through is like there are going to be some legal implications.
What he keeps saying is accountability is greater than entertainment.
Yeah,
because it's a strong stand.
Yeah, because it sounds like from what his experiences, I think John was experiencing basically just a toxic fan base, and then the lack of support from Disney Lucasfilm to counteract that toxicity. And Ray Fisher was experiencing toxicity from fandom and also from within. Like it sounded like there were some implications that the director threatened to basically end his career over some things that were going on. So like, or him trying to call attention to what was going on set. And so like, and I hope that I don't know if they were joking or they were serious, but I saw that they interacted on Twitter and were like, ready to talk about this in depth whenever you are. I hope they incorporate, to Melani's point, like some of the Black women also too in Hollywood that have probably I know have experienced things. I think even in context, Journey has had her own experiences that she's talked about. I mean, the severity with which they are, women for first and foremost are underpaid, and Black women, especially in Hollywood, is something that I think if they could build a coalition and, do something, I would love to see it. I'd support it 110% because it's time for this also too. It's what better moment than now, in my opinion.
Hey, until they get a whole projection thing, we do have Lovecraft Country, which I keep saying is like a Black woman production head to toe, which is why I'm so strong in supporting it.
Yeah, and 110%. But I guess we can, if you guys are ready to get into the Lovecraft Country.
I think
wait, I'll say last thing. Ray Fisher Cyborg, I'm gonna drop private, then maybe you can share with folk something you can read for free that I wrote like a year ago on how Cyborg as a character is like an allegory accidentally for the dehumanization of the Black body. Because most Cyborg comic stories over and over, it's like, am I more machine or am I more human? And the answer they normally come to is human, but the characters existed almost 40 years now. So why are we still asking? And why do we continue to ask over and over?
Yeah. I think why we keep asking.
Did you mean to put that in the private chat?
I don't know how I get in the comments.
I put it in the comments. I put it in the comments. So that a link to that article.
That's free 99. I wrote it because I felt the need to write it.
I just put that in the comment section. You guys can go ahead and you can click on that and read that when you have a moment.
Before we get into Lovecraft Country real quick, there's no way that they can deny any of Ray Fisher's claims because, in my opinion, I can see it in Justice League.
Absolutely, it's clear, it's evident. It's evident.
Same with Finn in Star Wars. It was evident.
It was clear. Yeah, I mean, character. Yeah. I don't understand how you can be upset with his comments about how he was treated. Like, especially the character. Like, don't even let's look at it facts for facts, right? A lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi. Like, if you have and are holding a lightsaber in Star Wars, you are Force sensitive or you are a Jedi. Like, and it's not like that moment in Empire when Han Solo takes Luke's lightsaber and cuts open the tauntaun and stuffs him in there, because that's kind of what happens. Spoilers. To keep him warm. Like, he's literally fighting. They're promoting it as if like he's that dude. He's on the poster. He is literally at the forefront of the campaign. And I understand that mystery box. You're trying to keep the lineage and who the identity of Rey is a secret. That's part of the plot, apparently. But you can't tell me that that's unbecoming or just a complete unnecessary misdirection of a character, because you're literally hyping this character up to be something more than you intended him to be. That's the frustration with it. Like, if you wanted him just to be a defecting stormtrooper, which is, I mean, that by itself is an interesting thing within Star Wars, because it's not something you've seen before. And on top of that, he's got a lightsaber and he's wielding it and he's fighting with it. Like, come on now. Like, to me, not to get on this for too long, but like, I think John Boyega was also implying that JJ seemed to have a different purpose and a different direction for the character than what the direction Ryan and team at Lucasfilm took him in Last Jedi. That was not the setup. Like, what they set up that character, the setup for that character, in my opinion, based on what I saw on screen, was not what we got in the following two films.
I'd be interested to hear what that setup was.
Yeah. I guess that should be a topic we'll save for Starlight Beacon.
I got thoughts too.
What's that?
I said, bring me on that episode because I have some thoughts too.
Yeah, because I mean, there's some things I can definitely talk about that one in depth. That's the whole episode within itself. But before we get into the Lovecraft discussion, I want to shout out my cousin Victor and Carolyn. They commented earlier. I don't think I've seen them in the comments before, but thank you all for coming out and watching us. Definitely appreciate you. Hope you come back. We do this weekly, so definitely look forward to more content. I'm pretty sure that my dad, they're on the Cooper side, so I think my dad sent all that out, but we'll be back next week. And appreciate you for coming out and watching and supporting. Amani, do you have any last comments on the?
I always have comments.
The 4 topics.
If you leave it up to me, we can talk about it all day. So we'll save it for another episode.
All right, and let's shout out Gabriella.
Gabriella,
What's up?
We ain't over
Gotta
yet.
look out for that. Yeah, it's not over yet. So hey, just as a warning, we're getting ready to talk about episodes 2 through 4.
Spoilers.
Of Lovecraft Country. So if you haven't seen it and you want to stay relatively spoiler free,
we at like 1.75 hours. How long we running this? Like, I need to know this so I can scale how I'm going to talk about this.
This is bonus. This is a bonus round. We'll if you want to start out with your comments, we'll definitely start you out. But I want to give the people a warning. Like, this is now time to turn away because we're going to get the spoilers.
I'm just saying, like, how much time we have left dictates what level of detail I point stuff out.
All right. So how much time do you need? How much time do you got? You think an hour?
I don't know. Let's go with 30 minutes.
Let's go 30 minutes. I'm good with 30 minutes. We're going to do 30 minutes bonus round. Episode 2 through 4, lightning round of Lovecraft Country.
I'm not going to comment on episode 2 then.
Wait, you're not going to comment on episode 2?
What's going on? What's going on over there? What you got going on?
Got a transformer.
I got to sit down.
For the people.
I expected to go on for an hour and a half at the most.
Oh my God!
Sit down.
I forgot you were standing. Light on.
Hey, shout out to JBM. He's been standing the whole time, so
you know,
stamina and endurance,
ab muscles, endurance.
Oh man,
was that noise the desk coming back down?
What was that? That was the desk. Okay.
Is it low enough? Because you was like center before, and now you like bottom half of the screen.
Yeah, you gotta bring the desk down, or you up something. Bring the chair up. Something.
That's what I'm gonna do. Hold it, y'all. Do what you do. I'm gonna mute.
Oh man.
Wait, you said you not going to comment on episode 2, Imani?
It's not one. It's not fresh in my mind because it's been 2 weeks. But also, I saw episode 3 and 4 today, and I'm just super like you. Well, okay, I will say this. That's not specifically about episode 2, 3 or 4, but to go back to your article and also what you said about talking about your article with everything that was happening. I love Lovecraft Country, but this show is very difficult to watch. Like we said, the horror of the show is not the the monsters. It's the racism. It's this Jim Crow era time period that is just so difficult for me to process. And this is not a Lovecraft specific thing. I have a hard time watching it in general. I don't like things like this. It's just hard for me to accept. It is hard for me to accept that there are people who just don't like us because of the color of our skin. And I also like in school, they teach us, oh, Martin Luther King, he did these great things, and now times has changed. And the reality is nothing has changed. It's just the way racism is shown now is different. Oh, we can't tell you, that you can't live here. So we'll just make sure that environmentally everything, we'll do everything we can to make sure that you can't afford to live here. If that makes sense. So that was just like a little example, but I've had to come to Jesus within the last few years with the fact that nothing has really changed. And it's just a really struggle. It's a serious struggle for me to watch Jim Crow era pieces, for me to watch slave pieces, for me to watch just anything. Like I never watched, what's the movie we're talking about with the couple in the car?
Queen and Slim.
I didn't watch Queen and Slim because of the premise of the film. Not that I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I knew it would be hard for me to watch. So yeah, this movie has definitely been one where I've had to force myself to look at it, the show. And I'm enjoying it when I do watch it, but like, Jesus, I need a minute.
Yeah, racism is definitely hard to watch in that show, but it's a refreshing take because it's fantasy and horror, so it makes it a little easier to watch
Okay, I will
in
talk
that sense.
to you. When those monsters came out in the woods, I felt like I was the break I needed from these white people. Oh, okay, this is a monster I can understand, something I can deal with.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Episode 2 was titled Whitey's on the Moon. Thought that was fun. Yes. A song too. Yeah. It's so now that we're on episode 4, I'm glad they brought it around the way it did, because really episode 2 felt so final. Like they went to the mansion, and at the end of the day, the mansion gets burned down. And I was like, oh, I don't know what we do now. And they've managed to bring us right back in it. But that there was a bit of random family drama, like we don't know who Atticus' daddy is, and they just slid that in there. There is a group, there's an evil cult of white folk called the Sons of Adam, who are both racist and misogynist, who are looking for immortality. And I was like, yo, this is a lot to process in one episode. The idea that Letty did actually die then was brought back to light. Like this was a Montrose as a character showing up, literally rising from filth. The first time we seen
Speaking of filth, the end of episode 2, was it a cow that was giving birth to the monster?
Yes.
Yes.
It was a cow.
What? It's like, what? This is crazy.
I think it's difficult dealing with like weird stuff like that. There's a lot of just strange things that's happening in the show that we don't have answers for. Like that happening in episode 2, or the individual at the end of episode 4 who is a little sexually off, if that's the best way I can put it.
What's the name of that?
You waiting to talk about that, aren't you?
It's not. Okay, my point was like they're giving us a bunch of little things that are like, what the heck was that? And they're not saying anything about it. We'll just put this on screen for 2 seconds and go. And on top of it, like that's normal for a sci-fi show. And on top of that, there's racism. This is like mental gymnastics. I'm stressed out in all areas.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for me, like honestly, the racism in the portrayal of racism in this is not as bad as some of the other portrayals of racism that I have seen. Like it's kind of mild, like because
that first episode was with the cops. That was intense.
But see, like, because like I go to like something like Rosewood and like movies like that where it's like inescapable, you know, like it's not.
That's also like violent drama,
right?
And so it's kind of like for me, this is like, oh, all right, it's not.
I see what you're saying. Like the characters have their characters have their own journey too. If you're talking about like a Rosewood or like a Detroit movie, the horrors of racism is the point, and there isn't really a happy ending. And here you're like on a journey with people living a life.
Yeah, there's still a fantasy element within it, which keeps it to me light.
And they can still win. Like something I did notice about this show, even if black folk die or are damaged, they typically keep the white body count higher.
Perfect example is episode 3.
Episode 2, George, you're like, dang, Uncle George, but like, oh,
I mean, they wiped out down with and they wiped out like everybody in the mansion. So it's like, all right,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Right, and so I think I feel like that's the thing they're doing on purpose, like to give y'all some relief. The black body count will never be the highest.
Yeah, like, and that's not typical of most of these shows in this time period and that deal with racism from that time period, because usually it's like a very dark and real, grounded approach, and you don't really get a happy ending other than the fact that eventually the civil rights movement happens. And it's kind of like, it's because usually it's very sobering, these types of movies that deal with racism, because you're like, yo, I can't imagine growing up and living in that time period in the South. But for me, this isn't
not that. The South. That's the crazy thing about the show. Everything in the show is north of the Mason-Dixon line.
That's true. Dealing with that's very true. And but still, like the time period, like we grew up in a very different time period. Like we don't deal with overt racism at that level. We deal with it more so in the shadows. Like for us, it's a lot of it.
Find a brick and parking your car in front of somebody's house and tying the brick to the steering wheel in a way where that takes a lot of energy just to be racist.
Exactly.
Why did the car battery not die? Why was
the horn doesn't go off the car battery? The horn is separate. So you don't gotta have the car started to honk the horn.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, but the energy into the racism was mind blowing. Like, yo, that's a lot, bro. That's a lot.
Exactly, and then like I mean the
I'm sure we hear the horns the loudest, but you live across the street. That's annoying to you too, bro.
Right. Right. But the astrophysicist whose house she purchases, which isn't really what it seems to be on multiple levels, but we'll get into that, is him experimenting on the African Americans, those like the human experience he was doing down in the basement. Like that's insane. But at the same time, like the way it's portrayed for me is not it's like it's messed up, but it's not like super dark because of the for me I guess the fantasy of it, but it happened, you know what I'm saying, like, but it's not like it's not like, oh, this is an actual thing, but that this stuff happened, you know what I'm saying, like it's not like it's trying to be like a historical dark, like historically accurate. human trials on African Americans during this time period is not uncommon. Like
Right,
people
but to that extreme, to like mismatching body parts.
I would not be surprised at all. I mean, Tuskegee experiment, like all that stuff happening, like I wouldn't be surprised. Like
because
we weren't even humans.
From like the inspiration was from like Tuskegee Airmen and like the father of gynecology and so on.
Yeah. I can see that. I know the inspiration for sure, the inspiration, but for me, I would not be surprised if that were someone, if those experiments were happening.
One side note that reminded me, shout out the Aggie who made a cameo in episode 3. The dude who his name was James and he had a dog named Baldwin had like 30 seconds of screen time in line. Dude, Keon Mitchell, he started at A&T the same year I did, graduated a year before y'all did.
Word.
It's super weird because like I had to rewind because I recognized his voice before I recognized his face. I was like, "Hey yo, Aggies, dude, I see you doing big things."
Special shout out to North Carolina A&T being the #1 HBCU in the nation again, and then shout out to A&T's art department for having the #5 art program out of all the HBCUs in the country. Just in case,
rack them up. Shout out Dr. Stephanie Lester Teasley, who was my advisor, who is now the interim vice provost of undergraduate education.
Word. Hey, yeah, we got 3 Aggies in this. If you didn't know,
But the other thing is the fact that the ghosts in episode 3 were like reverse of scary, or at least the black ghosts were.
Oh yes, that was my favorite part. That was
the
my
black
favorite part.
ghosts were on your side. The ancestors are on our side. The fact that they brought in a voodoo witch and it wasn't like typical cinema depiction of voodoo where the voodoo is there to haunt people and called in the voodoo priestess to help get rid of the ghost. I was like, yes, black magic working for us. This is the thing we're actually rooting for in this episode.
That's like literally that was my favorite part of the whole episode. Like that gave me chills.
But it was only until they had the spell that protected them.
Special shout out to Tuskegee. They're definitely in the building. Kanar, I see you.
Oh, word.
Still not #1, but we love you.
Hey, man, HBCU love.
Always.
Yeah.
No. Oh, go ahead.
Black Ghost. A1 is where we were.
Yeah. I see. For me, I feel like I like that ancestral power. Like to me, that the black ghost helping was like great. Like going back to what we were talking about earlier, those a lot of times when we deal with topics of racism in cinema and their true real life depictions, we don't get that uplifting like moment at the end. It's usually like, this is how things were. Deal with the reality because these people had to. And for this, it's like we get that win because like we know all of these black spirits did not deserve what they endured. And for them all to come together and help expel the demon, the white demon astrophysicist out of the house and help protect Journey Letty is like that. I love that moment. Like
what was cool about that moment was it was like,
and she acted her
started helping when she acknowledged their innocence by naming each victim.
Yes.
That was the turning point. That's what made that game to me.
And to me also too, that was a good callback because she was super invested in trying to figure out who these people were from the beginning of the episode. Like she figured out who all these people were. She went and did the research, found out who was missing. Like, so she knew who they all were. So that moment, that made that moment that much more powerful.
Yeah, and the like story symbolism of somebody who died, like desperately seeking life in a bunch of different ways. Because she died the previous episode, and then she was brought back to life, and now she's like seeking life by inviting a bunch of artists in her house and seeking life through the history of these people who passed in the house. Very cool interplay.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't help but think about the sheriff, who at first I just thought was another racist white man, but now I'm seeing he either is down or is trying to be down with the Sons of Adam. And that's what his connection to the house was. So when he had Letty in the back of the car and he was slamming her around, it was not to warn her off. He wanted to know why and how she bought that house, because he believes it's connected in some way to the Sons of Adam, and he wants to know what's up. And so that's just another level of fear with him. What's crazy is he knows what's up with the Sons of Adam in that house, and clearly there's something going on. But those white boys who went in there to, rough things up, I don't think they knew anything about that. So in a way,
act up, get smacked up, like you said. There wasn't social media back then.
Definitely act up, you get smacked up, but also like he used them.
Oh yeah.
He used those white boys to play his own game, and unfortunately they died because of it. And the fact that 3 white men are missing, and it's just, I mean, it's a story, but he ain't bust the door down. To me, that means he knows, something is up, and I think they're gonna get away with that.
Yeah, he has another goal to your point. Like he's invested in the Sons of Adam, and I don't think it has any real benefit to him to investigate the disappearance of the kids he sent in on that dummy mission in the first place. Like, I think that he's more interested in Letty and now Christina and her connection. Yeah. And she's an interesting character too. Like,
very interesting.
She is a very interesting character.
Before we slide to Christina, because I feel like that'll bleed to the next episode. I was thinking the cool thing they said on the podcast, I was like, as a black dude, didn't cross my mind. I was like, whoa. It's 2 black women hosting the podcast were like, the most powerful scene in that episode for them was Letty breaking the windows of the car. Not because Letty was breaking windows, but because a group of black men were there with bats in their fists, making sure the white people didn't approach. And they were like, I don't think in cinema I've seen a collective of black men protect a black woman like that. And they were like, it's very powerful, because it wasn't like this one good black guy. Like, a community of black men were like, let her do her, or we got problems. I was like, oh, that's wild. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, I'm glad they point. Yeah, that is a.
Who drove up with the car so that they could get the guns out of there, or was that?
That was right before that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was the same scene.
Yeah, it's the same scene. Like, literally, yeah. Guns pull up. They pull the guns and the bats out the car, and they're like, "Do what you need to do."
No, I'm saying, who took the guns away? So after she busted up the cars and the police were coming, someone pulled up a car, put the guns in it, and then drove off. Who was that? That was her sister.
Yeah, her sister.
Yep.
Ooh. All right, hold on. Where we at now? We still? That's what, 3, right? Yeah, we're still on 3.
Yeah, so we got like speaking of a couple minutes to speed through 4.
Because I'm like, oh Lord, speaking of her sister.
Can we talk about it?
We can't even get there first.
Talk about it after you like
staircase.
After I like blow your mind with something my homeboy hit me up with, and I've been thinking about it, and I got to go back and watch to see if this makes sense. What if Caleb and Christina are the same person, and Christina is just gender shifting because men are more acceptable? Have they been on the screen at the same time? I can't think of it.
Oh,
Escalante Jenkins in the Discord for making that point.
Yo, yeah. I didn't. Okay, so Caleb, yeah. Have they been on the screen at the same time?
I'm trying to think of it. I can't think of a time since that was pointed out.
I think that the only time that they may have been on the screen would have been episode 2. Like, we'd have to go rewatch it because they were allegedly in the mansion at the same time, unless they are the same person. But you know what I mean? Like, that would have been the only time they would have had an interaction, because he was at the mansion and she was in Chicago.
They both
then they got to the mansion, and then they met him, and then Yeah, because in episode 4. Well, no, where does he come from then in episode? Because hold on, time out. Let's skip ahead. Let's skip ahead real quick. Let's skip because when she pulls up to that house wherever she is, right, and then there's the police sitting outside, and then he pulls up. Like, is there enough time passed between when she parks?
What's the motivation with them being the same person?
She can't move through the sons of Adam as a woman,
but Caleb can.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, if she can do that, then why not just remain as Caleb?
Well, it's got to be a spell, so there's probably like a limit to how long she can keep that form.
Like, I don't think she wants to be a man. I think she just wants to be the sons of Adam. So in order to do that, she recognizes that she needs to pose as one. But I don't think she's interested in not being a woman.
That makes a lot of sense.
That'd be a cool art right there. Be interesting to see that play out.
Also, I think when they talked about it originally, in the very first episode, they talk about Montrose speaking with a man, all dressed up. It wasn't a woman, it was a man driving the silver car. But then the first time we see the silver car, a woman gets out of it.
Christina. Yeah, Christina gets out.
And I didn't mention it before when we talked about the first episode, but when I saw the silver car in that first episode, I was hyped because I figured, okay, the silver car in some way is going to help them out. But then when the woman got out, I was surprised because weren't they talking about a man the whole time? So that just came to my mind. I just thought about that off the dome, do a little more research.
Yeah, I was never sold to your point, I was never sold that the silver car was on their side because the car being silver or gray, for me, using that color means it's neutral. So they are on anybody's side.
I would agree. When I said on their side, I knew in that moment it was not right for them. Like the time for them to die was not then. And I knew that silver car was coming to protect them from the police, not necessarily save them forever.
Right. Yeah.
And Caleb says something to Titus at the dinner party, right? Something about like, just because they don't want you here doesn't mean you don't belong.
Yes.
So that plays more into Christina's motive for
if they are the same person.
Adam, yeah.
I like this theory. This is a great theory.
And finally, at the end of,
I want to say, hold on, before we get Escalante, if you are watching, please write a speculation piece in the Discord and put it in the
speculation
and put it in there so we can talk about it further because this is a good topic. All right, Amani, sorry.
did I lose it? What was I saying? Oh, so what was that her father before? That was her father, right? Who died in episode 2?
Yeah.
So at first it looked like just he was trying to use Atticus and the fam. But now at the end of episode 3, you clearly see that just because he's dead doesn't mean the game is over. And now Christina is in charge. And she gave him a mission, basically. I don't think he realizes that in episode 4, he went on a mission for her. But she said those words for a reason. And she's definitely playing the game.
She also, in all her probably white supremacist games, also recognizes the power of a woman because she didn't have to necessarily give Letty the house. She didn't have to let Letty know that she got her the house. But when you talk about giving them a mission, like she was like, hey, you also need to bring this woman along with you. I didn't expect her to show up in Artem, but once she did, I knew she had to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're definitely being used. But can we talk about episode 4?
Yeah.
I don't know who said it, but to quote someone in the Discord, Montrose is tripping.
Hard. and he needs to stop it.
Yo, he is just causing problems just all around. The world would be so much better in television. Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be good TV, but if characters on shows would communicate, man, things would just work out so much better. Him hiding from the family that he got that book from Uncle George, he is just causing mad just status.
Yeah. He's becoming problematic for sure.
And he read that whole book before he burned it. Like, ain't nothing good in that book. I read the whole thing, memorized it, but nothing good was in there.
It saved their life though, so that's a takeaway.
All I know is he better know every word, because I can just tell that he is going to be the gatekeeper for all the necessary information that's going to come from this book, and he better not forget nothing.
I think they got what they needed from the book though, or maybe there's some more to it, but
it's definitely more to it.
Yeah, there's
definitely more to it.
Remember, there was like 30 something lodges.
Maybe each lodge has a book.
I need him to okay.
But see, now he's the only one that knows. Like, he's the only one that they know with the knowledge of it that they can somewhat trust. And
also, how does he explain his actions at the end of the first episode? That's the thing. Like, I understand why he did it. It was totally in character, but it's like, how you cover that up? There's a slit throat.
Yeah, for real. Like, what is, like, how is he going to explain this in the next episode? Like, because where are they? First of all, are they in Letty's house?
Yeah, they're in Letty's house.
So how?
Letty's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do you explain this? Like, is he just going to walk away and then act like surprised to find a throat slit? Like, what's he going to do?
I think that person is going to snitch. And yeah,
I think she's got a spell on her. She might come back to life.
She's definitely
that they're not dying.
But I'm not sure that holds up, because the spell may have been bound to the ship, like as far as her immortality. They
still had some form of spell on them, because then they could not speak.
Yeah, because I think. But see,
there's levels to this magic.
That might have been the trade-off. Like, if she leaves the ship, then she becomes a siren. So, like, all of her, her immortality, quote unquote, so to speak, is now sacrificed for, now she's back with the living, but she's a siren and can't communicate with anyone. So she's got all the secrets. If you can get past the puzzle to the ship to find her, basically you've got just that moment to kind of ask your questions and get the information you want, or you take the route that they took and take her with you back up. But if you do that, then she can't speak. But now any chance of them
slip, but we did not see her die.
Yeah, we didn't see her die. Maybe the spell is on the markings on her body.
She's out of here.
Those that look like regular, like, tattoos. They look like some spell tattoos.
I don't know. I don't know much about the Arawak culture, but I was like, are those just Arawak tribal tattoos?
Yeah,
that might. It could be.
Is there any reason y'all can think of as why they made that character a hermaphrodite?
I think she said she is. They didn't say
they're exactly a god, right? They're definitely an otherworldly being. They're not just a person. They are more than that.
They're more than human.
Yeah, more than human.
That character was a god.
So
I believe they said they were.
I don't know about the Arawak culture specifically, but in the southern world, there are several traditions in which intersex people were praised as higher than human. They are neither man nor woman because they've been chosen by a higher power for some greater purpose. So they could be running with that.
Okay, that might explain those markings on the body too then.
Rhonda, he did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I think he's out of here.
Resting in peace.
I felt the same way when what's the Stark father in Game of Thrones, when he died in the season before
Ned.
That Joffrey wasn't the actual son of the king. When he
Ned.
died, that was the same amount of stress I felt when they killed Uncle George. Just like put that out there.
Yo, before they resolved the baby daddy drama too.
Yeah. Yeah,
True. Yes, exactly.
maybe they need to go ahead and talk on that.
He may have literally taken that to his grave.
I hope not.
I mean, I don't know, but like, oh gosh, that's such a teaser. Like, and it's not.
It's a teaser that gets spicier in
It
episode
does.
4 when you find out that Montrose may have a keen liking for the other sex as well.
That's true. It gets layered. There's
Yeah.
more layers to it.
It's definitely
More
not.
layers
I
to
didn't
it.
even put that together.
Yeah.
Hey man, he's identity crisis.
I
Montrose.
never even like your mama like that.
Right. And then you put that with the fact that
Oh, dude.
Uncle George also
wait.
seemed to love his wife so much. Like the first episode, he was like looking at my wife. Let's have sex while our child is in the next room. Like,
Mm.
And then his fantasy in episode 2 was of another woman.
right. And I assume that woman was Atticus' mama.
It was.
Yeah. Layers.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Do you think Uncle George is the daddy? Yeah, he
George is
definitely
definitely the daddy. He's the pappy.
he be the pappy.
We don't need Maury for this one.
No,
We already
nope. He did it. And because I mean, the connection that he has with Atticus is clear. He's more like Uncle George than he is his alleged father.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to how that's gonna all come
Full circle.
for sure in the show. It's such a well-written show, man. Like, oh my goodness, layers. I love layers.
Montrose did mention that Atticus is a much stronger man than him and a better man than him. He mentioned that in episode 4 after they got out of that weird cave basement thingy.
Yeah, literally right before he slit that throat.
He's like, yo, you are everything I could never be. Now let me go show you why.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go prove my point.
I also, although the house is clean of that evil spirit of that scientist guy, the fact that there was another level and that they didn't know about that leads all the way back to Boston and all that jazz, I am feeling less and less confident about them living in this house.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you found out that that Christina purchased the house and gave it to Letty, it's like that's clearly obviously not the place that you need to be. It's like, all right, clearly you're now still playing the game.
Yeah.
That you're behind several steps and you need to catch up.
What's the deal with Caleb and Letty's sister?
Well, if Caleb is Christina,
or is it Christina?
Right. If Caleb is Christina, that is now leverage over Letty.
Now that I really do believe that Caleb is also Christina, I am even more sad for Letty's sister. What is her name? I feel like I should know.
Yeah, me too.
But she just spoke about how, what her relationships are like with white men or men in general, and how she's, being used for something. And she's being used again, and she has no idea how deep it goes, because also she still has no idea about what Atticus, Uncle George, and Letty went through. She has no clue. She doesn't even know that she should be avoiding this man because they're not communicating with their family.
And they still used her for a car ride.
Right. Yeah. So like, she's she's gonna, I think and Ronnie is right. She's gonna figure this out. Possibly, but my thing is too that she's going to the mansion, but the mansion's been burned down. Like, I don't know what evidence she can. Like, I don't know what she's gonna find there. Like, she's gonna find.
I hope it's sun up by the time she get there.
Yeah,
true.
She'll find trouble, and
I don't think they have enough time to go through that again, though. As far as like the episodically, they don't have time to go through another sundown moment. But I think when she gets there, she's going to be surprised by what she sees. And I think this is going to create more mystery and more questions about like what they actually went through, because I don't think they ever told her that they got to the house. Like, what did they tell her about the house and the mansion and what they found? Because they went to find his birthright, right?
Yeah.
So
episode 3, she's like, there was this weird sense of I want more, but I don't need all the details. I need a general rundown of what happened. Because she says, I know, she says to Montrose, I know you and Tick did what you had to do. Like, I know y'all got the motherfuckers who killed my husband, but I know there's more. You need to tell me the more.
Yeah. So yes. So she's gonna roll up on the mansion. It's gonna be burned down, and she's gonna be like, "So this is the homestead and the birthright. Like, how did all this happen? Why was this part left out?" Like, she's gonna have stupid questions, like crazy questions.
It's gonna be back up. I think she's gonna drive up.
Oh, they could do that, but it might be
nice and pristine.
Ruby is the sister. Thank you, Rhonda.
Yes.
I said it.
Oh,
I missed it. I missed it too. Sorry, my fault. I didn't hear you.
She's gonna pull up, and that mansion is gonna be chilling. That's what I think.
But is Christina going to be there, or is Caleb going to be there?
Only Jesus knows. I mean, at this point, now that Caleb knows Ruby, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Christina starts coming around too, because they have not told Ruby or Hippolyta. They have not told either of them to avoid these white people. These people are not communicating. They're keeping secrets, and they're putting people in jeopardy, and they don't even realize it. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up.
And that way, are they any better than Montrose?
No.
I've also got a question too about, like, maybe I missed this detail, but like, how and where did they get the warding spell for Christina that they put on the house, because she couldn't enter?
The priestess, remember, she killed the goat, and then she put the blood.
It was a stain. It was just a leftover stain.
She put
it wasn't that's a warding spell.
She cast a spell. That lady did.
But yeah, okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, who did they do that, or did she do? So she put it. So it's residual from the.
They never wiped the
exit
off of the wall. It's still there, and I think she told them to leave it there. And if I were them, I'm not leaving this. Shoot, that kept me safe up in here. Only people that died were them white men. The rest of us are good. Not wiping this off, and I'm keeping sis number on the refrigerator door. So if we need her again, she could come out.
I think she's dead.
The witch doctor?
Yeah, she died.
Yeah, the spirits killed her.
She died. She died in the basement. She's another body down there in the basement.
Wait, I didn't see her body down there.
They probably buried her, but she died in the basement.
Dang. I figured like it was just a ghost spirit leaving her. That's why she was still laying on the floor. I didn't know she died.
Nah, the demon took her, but it killed her first.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. I gotta unplug in a second.
All right. Well, yeah, we can wrap this up. We got through we did our lightning round for 3 episodes.
Do we want to save the last bit for next episode? We ran, we're 2.5 hours right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is episode 10. So we can save the community discussion from 3 weeks ago for next week, and then also The Boys is back.
I haven't watched
either, and I'm hyped, and I will be watching it. And by the time next episode comes out, episode 2 should be out also. So watch The Boys, and we can talk about that.
Yes. And next week we will be back to our regularly scheduled time of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. We'll have more details coming out soon as far as what the episode is. We got some things in the works. We'll have some, hopefully, I think we'll have some special guests from the community joining us on that episode.
Most definitely.
JBM, Lou, you got any closing remarks, comments? And Amani, do you by chance know what the community discussion was from 3 weeks ago?
After the first episode, it was a little heavy, and so I asked the crew what their favorite Black film was.
Yes.
What's your favorite Black film? And I think we can still talk about that next week.
I think episode 10 will be a perfect episode to talk about that on.
I think so too.
Let's get people some more time to talk about that, think about that, come up with their answers. Lou?
Mine is in the genre of comedy. Post that out there.
That's no surprise.
Final words. And Endgame, when the Wakandans showed up and they had the Ibambe chant.
Yes.
And they're like, so that's That's a Snosa phrase, and a couple of other African languages that means hold, and so it's like a part of a bunch of other phrases. But by itself, it sort of means hold strong, hold it, like hold still, stand firm. And I'm gonna start closing like random stuff with that. I feel like I'm going to make that what Stay Woke was in 2010 before the white people got to it. So like, if I just need to peace out with people, I'm gonna be like, all right, yo, it's Bombay.
I dig that.
I can dig that.
It sounds much better than if the aliens come. Let's hope that they black.
Hey, but you know, Lovecraft showed us if the ghosts are there, let's hope that they black, because then they got us.
I've been saying that. Like that. I've said that repeatedly. I feel like the black ghosts and our ancestors got our back. We just got to call on them from time to time for support.
Got to know their names.
Hey man, listen. You know your ancestors' names. You can call on them, especially if you live your life right. They'll. I feel like they'll come and support you if you live in your life the right way, in the way you should be. They got your back.
My grandpa Bob was with me when my wheel fell off. That's for sure.
Your wheel fell. Oh, that's a
Bob.
story for real. Shout out Grandpa Bob.
Shout out Grandpa Bob.
All right. Anyone else? Any more closing remarks, or are we gonna close it here?
Just be well.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us on this very special episode. As always, we appreciate you for showing support. And we will see you next week. Later.
Peace.
Mbappe.
Hey,